Dear Jimmy and Eileen, I wish I could tell you how much we have enjoyed the tape of Beautiful Christmas Carols. We about want playing it over and over and over again. So we put it up so that each Christmas we will have our own private tape of Christmas carols. When you come to see us again, we'll share it with you though. Now, how in the world are we going to tape that you will enjoy half as much as we've enjoyed this one? Believe it or not, I just can't sing. But for you two, I would try almost anything just once. Jimmy, Your Silent Night is my most favorite Christmas carol. As I grew up, we sang it over and over again. Did you know that it originated in Germany? And I can remember my father singing it in English and then in German. Seems like I can detect a slight Dutch accent in yours, Jimmy. Maybe it's wishful thinking, but for you, here is a German folk number. Du liegst mir an Herzen, du liegst mir im Sinn. Du magst mir voll Schmerzen, du weißt nicht, wie gut ich dir bin. Du weißt nicht, wie gut ich dir bin. Now, Eileen, how would you like to have a German joke? To really enjoy it, you have to know that the word Begeits are the German words for hello, and 99 are the German words for no. A young man just from Germany came to this country to visit. He couldn't speak a word of English, and he decided to try it on his own. So he stopped at a restaurant one morning to eat. He entered and greeted the waitress with Begeits. She looked at him for a minute and said, wheat cakes? How many? The young man says, 9. She replied, well, you'll be doing pretty good around here if you can get 2. As I grew up, I had a big brother by the name of Bob. He was real good to me, and I thought he was the nicest person in the world, just like you think that your father, Bob, is the nicest person in the world. And actually, they were very much alike. He could sing real good and was always going around his work singing. And in those days, radio and television hadn't been invented, so singing was about the only thing that you could do. Now, this is one of his favorite songs. Now, remember, I can't sing, but I'm trying. A preacher went out hunting early one Sunday morn. Of course, it was against his religion, but he took his gun along. He shot himself some very fine quail and one big measly hare. And on the way returning home, a grizzly bear. The bear marched out in the middle of the road, and the parson got so excited that he climbed a persimmon tree. The bear sat down upon the ground, and the parson climbed out on a limb. He cast his eyes up to the good Lord in the skies, and these words says to him, "Oh Lord, didn't you deliver Daniel from the lion's den? And also Jonah from the belly of the whale, and then 3 Hebrew children from the fiery furnace. So the good book do declare, oh Lord, says he, if you can't help me, for heaven's sakes don't help that bear." The weather here's been great up until last week. And then we had such a nice trip to St. Joe, sunshine all the way, to see Grandpa's doctor. Dean came down from Mercer and took us in his new little car, a Mercury, I think. The doctor says Grandpa's doing great, but he must do more exercise and eat more food. Dean stayed for supper, and we had a nice visit. Dean loves your Grandpa very, very much. Grandpa was sure tired, though. He said Dean's little car didn't ride as well as ours, and I think your Grandpa's getting a tiny bit better every day. Dean told your Grandpa to hurry and be sure to get well by next summer so we can all come out to California to see you. Dean wants to come as bad as we do, so get ready for here we come next summer, I hope. Your grandpa's eyes have been bothering him, so we have an appointment with Dr. Limer, the optometrist, to check his eyes tomorrow. Then next Tuesday, we have an appointment with the ear doctor to check his hearing, and then when we get through all this stuff, your grandpa's going to be good as new. Yesterday the weather was real nice and warm. 62 degrees broke an all-time record. But this time last week, we had 5 1/4 inches of snow, but not too cold, so it wasn't that bad. But I sure did wish you two were here to help me push the snow around. With the 2 drives in front and then the cottage drive, I was tired of snow before I got through. The road maintenance truck and blade comes along and pushes all of the snow that's in the street in front of the drives, and if you don't get out and clean out the drives, you have a hump that makes it almost impossible to get the car out of the drive and into the street, especially if it freezes, which it usually does at night. Then our neighbors next door can't push snow around very good either, so I try to keep it so they can get out too. It's warm again today, and almost all the snow is melted, but the radio just announced that it's going to snow again all this weekend, so I'll be wishing for you two to come help me again. But they say, in Missouri, you know, if you don't like the weather, just wait, it's going to be different tomorrow. And through all the snow, we haven't missed a day driving up through town. Your grandpa calls it his exercise, and exercises are his doctor's orders, so we gotta go. You didn't ask, but our doll Katie is fine. I got her hair all done up in little curls all over her head, and she has a new pair of white shoes. I've hunted out some blue velvet and pearl buttons, and first time I have a chance, I'm going to make her a new dress. And of course she'll have to have new blue panties too. She has a pearl necklace and pearl earrings. And she stands now in the front room with a chair to greet everyone that comes in. Grandpa really likes her too. I've got to take her picture to send to you, but I'll wait until I get her new dress made and get her all dolled up. We got a letter today from your Grandma Betty and Papa John. We really like her letters. She tells us all about all of you. She sent us a newspaper clipping with a picture of Mark's wife Sue and Eric and Julie and Chad and some of the other children walking in the park. We thought that was real neat. We just came home from one of Grandpa's exercises, a ride up through town, and then we stopped at a little junk store on 17th Street. Wayne, the one-armed man who used to work for your grandpa years ago, and his wife Maxine have opened a little store, and they have everything from spools of thread, dolls, furniture, and all kinds of old glassware, even a bicycle. Boy, they have everything. He goes to sales and buys things and brings in for Maxine to sell. Some are old and some are new, and some of those thingamajigs that nobody knows what they are. And Maxine can fix most everything up. She was fixing a clock when we were there. She fixes and makes and does everything. Jimmy, did you know that Helen, the lady across the street where you and Eileen and your dad went to look at books, says, boy, Jimmy is just like his Grandpa Clark. Isn't it remarkable? And this is the 4th generation. He is so very, very much like his Grandpa Clark. It's unbelievable. Gee, Eileen, I wish somebody would say, Eileen is just like her Grandma Clark. I guess I'd feel so good, I'd just float away on a cloud. Well, Mary Jessie just came home from work, and I've run out of anything to say, so I guess I'll sign off for now. But I'll talk to you tomorrow. Well, here it is Sunday, but I've been real busy. Thursday, I went with your grandpa up to the optometrist, and he had his eyes checked. The doctor says his eyesight is real good, 20/25, only 5 points off of being perfect. But he changed the lens on the left eye, and it was a little different than it was. So now Grandpa has some new glasses coming, $207 worth. Boy. Then on Friday morning, It began to snow about 8 o'clock and snowed 3.5 inches in just a little while. The snowflakes were as big as dimes. It stopped about noon, and I shoveled and shoveled the snow and wished you were here to help me. I'd needed both of you, and I got all 3 drives cleaned and Mary Jessie's steps cleaned and all the sidewalks cleaned off. And then we drove to town to take your grandpa's exercises. And wouldn't you know it, Friday night it snowed again. So I spent Saturday morning, yesterday, doing it all over again, and believe it or not, it snowed again last night. So out I went this morning again to clean off the snow. Now the sun's shining, so maybe what I haven't cleaned off this morning will melt, and I've spread about 30 or 40 pounds of de-ice or salt and so forth in the last 3 days, so I'm sure tired of snow. We went out in the car for Grandpa's exercises again Saturday and stopped at Wayne's and Maxine's junk shop. Well, while we were there, she sold a doll and some toys and pots and pans and so forth, and it's kind of fun to look at all the junk they have. I sure do like my doll that you sent me at Christmas time. I named her Tilly. And she sits with a little television in the doorway between the 2 front rooms. She's sure cute. I think your mom and dad made her. I believe they did. Well, Mary Jessie just now left for church. I cleaned the snow from her car, but on the glasses, the ice was frozen on, but she got out with her scraper and scraped little holes in the front and the back glasses, and then some in the door glasses, and off she went. She must be a real good driver, because she's going way down in the country to church. And I would be afraid of all the icy roads, and I would have let the car defrost all the window glasses before I would have even started out. I just talked to my sister out in Kansas. It had snowed so much out there they weren't even going to have church this morning, and she had talked to her daughter Peggy, who lives at Lake Tahoe, California, and Peggy told her mother that it had snowed 2 more feet out there. If you ever go to Lake Tahoe, please stop and see Peggy. Her mother, my sister, tells me that Peggy is just like me. Though how that can be, I'm not sure, but anyway, you love Peggy. Her name is Peggy Jenner, and she's the manager of the Flamingo Lodge, State Line, South Lake Tahoe, California. So don't forget, if you ever go out there, be sure and stop and see her. I've been trying to get your grandpa to talk to you, but so far I haven't been able to. The Stokeses were here to visit last night, and Caroline suggested I turn it on when he didn't know I had it on. So, anyway, I'm working on it. Cecil Stokes' father works at the courthouse, the same place Mary Jessie works, and Caroline, the mother, teaches. Monique, the daughter, is in the second year of junior college, and she also works at Hardy's restaurant on the weekends. This gives her money to buy the things she needs. She had on her uniform last night when they came, and it looked real nice on her. She wanted your grandpa to see how cute she looked, I think. She was ready to go to work at 9 o'clock and probably will work 6 hours. Each night after they close, the late shift has to scrub and scour and clean everything up ready for the morning shift. The Western College at St. Joe has offered Monique a full scholarship for the next 2 years because of her high grades. She's a real good girl, and she works real hard at school. She feels like your grandpa is her grandpa too, because they've been visiting with us once a week, usually on Saturday, ever since she was a baby. I forgot to tell you, I found 2 cute junk store. One is Charlie Brown's Thanksgiving, and the other is Cuter. It was published July 1967. That makes it 20 years old. And the title is Here Comes Snoopy. Then on the back of the book it says, Is it true that dogs have more fun? Then it shows a picture of Snoopy jumping and dancing around them, and then below that it says, Nope, people who read Peanuts have the most fun. Right, Charlie Brown? I'll bet your dad would even like this book. We just got back from going up through town for your grandpa's exercises. Then when we came back home, I took some pictures of Grandpa in the snow so you could see what it was like. Well, this is Monday. I used to have a teacher when I went to school who would say on Monday when we went into the classroom, well, this is Old Blue Monday. Does anybody know anything? But now I know that this is Martin Luther's birthday, January the 19th, and Mary Jessie doesn't have to work. The courthouse is closed for the holidays day. She left early with a girlfriend in a big yellow flat-bedded old truck. Boy, I'll bet they could go anywhere in the snow in that thing, as big as the tires were. Grandpa had a good breakfast and a bath and all dressed up pretty. And tomorrow, Mr. Knapp from the hearing outfit in St. Joe, K-N-A-P-P, isn't that a heck of a name? We'll come to see Grandpa to check his hearing, and of course if he needs it, he'll get some kind of a device to help him hear. Tina, the little gal that lives in the cottage, and is dispatcher in the police department, had to work, so she left on schedule. And I guess the most important part for me is that it didn't snow last night. I get to stay in and look out on the white world today. It's still cold, so the snow is not melting very fast. But after lunch, we'll go take your grandpa's exercises. The weatherman says no more snow until next weekend, and then watch out. When I was a little kid, when it snowed, we'd have ice cream. I can remember my brother Bob going out and gathering nice clean snow. Then he would add vanilla and sugar and cream, and we always had a cow, so we always cream. Then he'd add whatever came handy, and we loved it. As it melted, we'd add more snow so that it would stay more like ice cream. I found the history of ice cream just now. I always thought my brother Bob invented snow ice cream, but just a minute and I'll read it to you. The history of ice cream and how it started. Ice cream probably started from chilled wines and other iced beverages in the 4th century before Christ. Alexander the Great was reputed to be fond of iced beverages, and from ancient records it is learned that in 62 A.D., the Roman Emperor Nero sent fleets of slaves to the mountains to fetch snow and ice, were then flavored with nectar, fruit pulp, and honey. Marco Polo, the 13th century bard and adventurer, brought with him to Europe from the Far East recipes for iced water, said to be used in Asia for hundreds of years. The water ices became popular in Venice throughout Italy. When Cat de Vinci married Henry II and became Queen of France in 1553, she brought with her a recipe for Italian sherbet. It is said that her son Henry III was addicted to these delicacies and consumed them daily. This delicacy found its way to America in 1700. Governor Baldwin of Maryland was serving ice cream to his guests, and then Dolly Madison created a sensation when she served ice cream as a dessert in the White House in a second inaugural ball in 1812. The first commercial ice cream plant was established in Baltimore in 1851. Just think what's happened to ice cream since then. My brother Bob not only made ice cream and sang songs, he loved quotations. This quotation that I'm about to give to you, he wrote into my memory book. When Barbara was here, she seemed to like my memory book, so I gave him to her. But this is the one that he wrote. It's from Thanatopsis, I think. So live, that when thy summons comes to join that innumerable caravan that moves through the mysterious realm where each shall take his chamber in the silent halls of death, go not as a quarry slave, scourged to the dungeon, but approach thy grave with an unfaltering trust, and wrap the draperies of their couch about you as one who lies down to pleasant dreams. Isn't that? Please tell your father that I think only the best men can qualify for the name of Bob, and they are chosen for husbands and fathers by only the very best ladies, such as your mother. We sure enjoyed her letter, and we will answer. It is so nice of both of them to share their beautiful children with a couple of old people like us. We love being great-grandparents. It's such a nice, warm feeling. The man from St. Joe is here to test your granddad's hearing, so I'm going to try to get it on tape. Now, Grandpa has earphones on, and they're attached to a big computerized-like contraption. So here we go.
Say the word give.
Give.
Say the word true. Say the word wild. The word for. Say the word wall. Say the word me. Say the word none. Say the word jam. Say the word
This was your granddad getting his test. Now, I'm going to try to get Mary Jessie to say something.
Hi, I just got home from work, and your granddad got his new ears, and now he's going to be able to hear everything we say. Won't be able to talk behind his back no more. The guy was here, and he was real nice, and I hope that he can really use these hearing aids. I know it'll help Elsie and him both a lot. We've had a lot of snow down here. It's a lot of fun. Wish you all were here to play in it. Hope you're all okay. Tell everybody hi. Mary.
When your grandpa found out how much the hearing devices cost, he has to have one for each ear. I thought he was going to throw the man from Naps and me both out. But we both told him how much we thought that they would help him and how much he needed them. So finally he ordered the devices, and they will come in about 2 weeks. Now, as Mary says, we'll have to watch it because he can hear every word we say. Bill, the neighbor, was over for a while to visit, and he's a real talker. I thought I'd tape him, and he might get your grandpa involved in a conversation that you would enjoy. Of course, with Bill, about all you need to say is yes, no, and really. After a while, Bill noticed the tape. It would have been really interesting, but except no talk from your grandpa, and Bill made me erase the tape. Maybe a good thing, because some of his expressions aren't too good in the mail, and we sure do enjoy hearing from him. He loves your grandpa real good. He thinks he's his grandpa too. As you probably know, he had been to a retreat at a monastery, and listening to the monks talk, he said the monks are very special people. Their talks were based on prayer. The purpose for the retreat was to get away from everything and to pray. He said because of our busy lives, most of our prayers are asking instead of listening to what God has to say to us. And listen to the closing part of his letter. It's so sweet. I want to share it with you. It says, "And I thank God every night for you both. Without you, my life wouldn't be nearly as happy. I love you both very much. Well, I better quit this time. Earl, you behave yourself and take care of Elsie. She is a very special person, and Elsie, if Earl doesn't behave himself, let me know. I'll come down and give him a little, what for? Most likely, though, he'll give me a good working over instead, which is probably what I need. But both you take care, and may God bless you both. Love, Dean." By the way, Jimmy and Eileen, have you ever met an Irish Jew? You may not know it, but Jews always talk with their hands, waving their hands around to emphasize each sentence. Well, Pat and Mike, a couple of poor Irish Jews, were walking down the street one cold winter morning with their hands in their pockets to keep their hands warm because they didn't have any gloves. Well, they walked and walked 3 or 4 blocks, in absolute silence. Finally, Mike couldn't stand it any longer, so he said to Pat, "Why don't you say something?" Pat replied, "Well, you can freeze your own hands if you want to, but I'm going to keep mine warm." Last night, just before we went to bed, I looked out the kitchen door, and it had snowed again. It must have snowed real hard for, maybe 30 minutes, because Mary Jessie's steps were covered with snow, and then it quit. But it wasn't too cold. But tonight, we're supposed to have sub-zero weather. Have you ever been in a sub-zero weather? It's just so cold that you just don't want to move. So, but now, today the sun's shining, and it's real nice out, and we've been up down for your grandpa's exercises, and he came home tired. Bill about wore him out, talked him to death to begin with, and then we went for a ride, and then we stopped back by Wayne's junk shop and for a minute or two, and then we came home, and boy, sure worn out. I've tried and tried to get your grandpa to talk on the tape, but he just doesn't seem to. I think it kind of hurts him to talk anymore, because he doesn't talk that much. So, inasmuch as I've run out of jokes, and I don't know whether you can call them songs or not, and conversation and all of this and that and the other, I'm going to have to quit. But Eileen, I want you to know that your tape that we received from you was the most beautiful thing we have ever received, and hope that you will send us another tape. It doesn't matter what you say on it, just so we hear your beautiful voices. Jimmy and Eileen, we love you very, very much, and we appreciate very much the thought that you would go to the trouble of getting a tape that beautiful for us. So now, goodbye, and God bless you. Grandma and Grandpa Clark.
Carl,